Hello, everyone. My name is Mary, and welcome to another episode of Getting to Know the Tarot and You. And in this series, I look at a tarot card, I look at its meaning, its symbolism, I look at other examples of that card and what they have to offer, and then most importantly, we look at how that card and the concept it embodies can be relevant in your everyday life, how to incorporate that energy into your everyday life. And today's card is the Justice card, and there's so much to say, so let's jump right in. So here I have the Justice card from the Rider-Waite-Smith. This is the Centennial deck. And as you can see, the meaning of the card is pretty obvious. It's justice. But more specifically, this is a major arcana card, so it's not about justice in small ways. This is a soul journey card. So this is about acting with fairness. This is about fairness, truth, and accountability. This card asks you to take responsibility for your actions and behave with integrity. This card is about karma, and karma is the collective cause and effect, the action and reaction, the cause and effect, and everything, and how it affects everything else. Basically, your decisions and how they affect the whole world, and how people might respond to your decisions. It's this big cycle. It also is about, this card is about the balancing of the cosmic scales, and the idea that what goes around comes around. So you will have to pay eventually for everything that you've done. So let's take a look at the symbolism of this card. And a lot of times, especially in the major arcana, there can be cards with lots of symbolism and lots of meaning. But this one, I think, is a little more straightforward. So let's look at its symbolism, starting with the most obvious, which is this red color that is just dominating the card. So the figure of justice here is sort of elevated on a step, symbolizing sort of an elevated status. The crown also indicates that. But she is draped in red. She's wearing red robes, and there's sort of a red cloth behind her. And that red color symbolizes power and influence. So the idea of justice is something very important. Also, I think that red color, in my view, symbolizes sort of like a stop sign. So this is a moment where you have to stop and look at your behavior and change your behavior if you need to, fix the problems that you've caused, ask forgiveness, give forgiveness where it's needed. So this whole red color is about, it's about power, it's about influence, but it's also about this, like, it's a moment for you to notice. It's a stop sign in life. So the figure here is wearing a crown, which of course symbolizes authority. But she's got a square on the crown right where the third eye is. So the third eye is the chakra. It's the energy center that is the center of wisdom and understanding. It also is a center where you are able to see, you're able to perceive beyond what the physical world is showing you. And to have a square in this area, I think, symbolizes that she is able to perceive in a balanced way those things that are hidden. So she has a very clear wisdom and understanding, and she is perceiving everything in a very balanced and fair way. The figure is holding a sword and scales, and the sword symbolizes the sword of truth, which is sort of cutting straight to the heart of the matter. I always see this sword in this instance as representing the sword of Archangel Michael. And with this sword, Archangel Michael brings retribution where it is necessary and is a saving grace, a saving figure. And so that sword is really the sword of justice, the sword of truth, the sword of Archangel Michael. The sword, the double-edged quality of the sword sort of, to me, also has a further meaning. And it represents the qualities of severity and mercy. So the sword can save you, but the sword can also hurt you and make you pay for what you've done. It can represent, the sword very clearly represents the idea of the discomfort of having to pay when you are in the wrong. The other thing she's holding are the scales of Libra, the scales of balance, honesty, and impartiality. So she's weighing the options. She's weighing one action against the other, and she's being very honest and balanced in her judgments. Now, aside from the fact that she's got this like huge amount of red surrounding her, she has this little white shoe peeking out. So that little dot of white is everything in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Everything that Pamela Smith drew is really important. She never wasted a pen stroke. Everything is important. All the ink is important. And so that little white shoe sticking out is important because it represents that she has pure intentions. That white color represents integrity and purity. So she, underneath this passion for justice, she has pure intentions at heart. The two pillars represent duality. So it represents the idea that that justice is coming, for you, and justice understands that you always have a choice. That in the world we live in, we always have a choice. It's either this or that, or there's right and wrong. There's even though most situations are very gray and very complicated, she's seeing things from a very clear-cut dualistic point of view. Like, you had a choice. You made a choice. What was the choice that you made? And what effects did that have? So the duality in the world that we live in is sort of the structure by which she's approaching her job of judging and judging our actions. So now that we've looked at some of the meaning, some of the symbolism of the card, let's look deeper into the meaning. Now, here's where I want to delve a little bit deeper, because to me, justice is so important. This is a major arcana card. And the major arcana, a lot of people think justice represents legal matters and, that sort of thing, contracts and stuff like that. And, in certain respects, the way certain people read tarot, justice certainly can have that meaning. But to me, as a major arcana card, this justice card is about the soul's journey. So this is about the lessons of justice that the soul must learn. There is a law to the universe, this law of balance, this law of divine justice, and sooner or later everything will come into balance. This is a divine law that you cannot escape. And God wants us to act with integrity and to act in a way that is where we are making decisions knowing how this governing law works. You can't escape this law, and that's why we have a conscience. Now, I want to dive a little deeper into this card with a Bible passage. So, something this card always reminds me of is this particular few passages in Matthew 5. So Jesus, whether you believe in him or not, was a teacher who had a great influence on the world, and his teachings are worthy of looking at. So in this particular passage, Jesus is commenting on the law of Moses. And so he says, you have heard that the ancients were told, you shall not murder, and whoever commits murder shall be answerable to the court. But I say to you, everyone who is angry with his brother shall be answerable to the court. And whoever says to his brother, you good for nothing, shall be answerable to the Supreme Court. And whoever says, you fool, shall be guilty enough to go into the fiery hell. Oh my gosh. So here Jesus is saying it's not just your actions, but also your words that you have to watch out for. That if you commit murder, you're going to go to hell, according to the New Testament. Yes, you will go to hell, and you'll have to pay for it if you commit murder, but you'll also have to pay for it if you even say something nasty to a friend or to somebody. So this is like, wow, this is taking justice in a huge new direction, where it's not just our actions, but our thoughts and our words. And to drive this home a little bit more, further on in this same chapter, Jesus says, you have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, I believe that this is not just women, but if you look at anyone this way, you are committing adultery with that person in your heart. And so this is going beyond words. This is going deep, deep, deep into your thoughts and the machinations of your mind. So justice is not just about what you do. It's about what you say. It's about what you think. It's about the energy that you're putting out, that just looking at a person in a certain way is causing a karmic imbalance between you and that person that you have to then rectify, even if it's not an action that they're even aware of. According to this chapter, your words, your actions, your internal energy structure is causing all kinds of karma that you have to rectify, that you have to bring into balance. And so this is a huge deal. And in this chapter, in this same sort of area of this chapter, Jesus says, come to good terms with your accuser quickly while you are on the way with him to court. So this is the idea, and this really harkens back to the justice card, which is all about taking responsibility for your actions. So justice is about taking responsibility for your actions, but not only taking responsibility for your actions, but according to Jesus, taking responsibility for your words, your thoughts, and your feelings. That all of this is causing, karmic imbalance. All of this is causing karma to be brought upon you that you have to fix, that you have to rectify. You can't escape this truth, the truth of justice, the truth that you have to make things right. Sooner or later, you have to make things right. If you don't, justice will make it right for you. So you want to do it on your own. You want to take responsibility on your own. This is what this figure is sort of telling us. So now that we have a deeper meaning, a deeper idea of what this justice card means, and the heaviness of what it means to your soul and your soul's journey and all of this, let's look at some other examples of the card. And let me tell you, this was so much fun and so interesting to go diving through the internet to find other justice cards, because they're all so interesting. They all have something great to tell us. So here we go. Let's start with the card on the top left. And this card is from the Pulp Tarot, which is a great deck. Really, it really speaks, this deck. And what I love about this card is it's obvious. What is most obvious about it is the character of Justice. She's not sitting in her throne waiting for, just waiting patiently. No, this figure of Justice is fierce. This gal is tough as nails. And if you have not acted with integrity, this woman is going to hunt you down. This woman's not sitting around just waiting, for something to happen. She is on the hunt. And it sort of gives you this idea that justice is going to come and get you when you least expect it. So you better clean up your act now. This sort of reminds me of this is obviously a 70s looking gal, but it reminds me of those 70s gritty detective shows where, they're out making justice happen. they're hunting the criminals down. It's all very gritty, and this person is very the main characters are usually very fierce and unstoppable. And this is what I see with her. She is fierce, she is unstoppable, and she's coming for you. So you better watch out. You better clean up your act. You better clean up your mouth. You better clean up your mind, because justice is going to come for you when you least expect it. So moving on to the right of that one, we have the Justice card from the Inspirational Tarot. And I love this one because it really conveys a lot with so little. First of all, we have the yin-yang symbol, which really gives us a sense of balance, a sense of karma, a sense of action and reaction, of the yin, the yang, the balancing influences. That it sort of shows us that the world is always seeking balance. The universe is always seeking balance. And so if you've done something or hurt someone, that's going to come back. It will balance itself out eventually. It also has that symbol of the sword, this idea of the sword of justice, the sword of truth, right there in the center of the card. And it's interesting because the sword is sort of the pivotal piece of the scales. And in the scales, we have a feather on one side and a heart on the other. And this is a reference to the Egyptian mythology, in which the dead were judged in the underworld by weighing their heart against the feather of Maat. I don't know if I said that right. The feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice. And if the heart was not heavier than the feather, then they could enjoy paradise with Osiris. But if the heart was heavier than the feather, the heart was fed to Amut, the devourer of souls. So, wow, what a story. If your heart is heavier than a feather, you're going to be fed to a devourer of souls. That story is just so, it really stays with you. It really stays with you. It's so poignant. It's very memorable. The Egyptians believed that the heart recorded all good and bad deeds. And this is a huge part of the story, because we all know what it feels like to have a heavy heart. And sometimes you don't even know why your heart is heavy. Maybe you didn't do anything wrong in your mind, but your heart knows. Your heart knows that you did something wrong, that you said something that hurt someone, even if you didn't mean to, even if you were totally like you didn't mean to hurt this person, or you didn't mean to take the, to act in a way that was unfair, or you didn't mean to say, something in a snippy way, or you didn't mean to use the wrong language with somebody, but that it's weighing on your heart. And so you have to unburden your heart. You've got to figure it out. You've got to make amends. And that's what I love most about this card, is the feather in the heart, and how it's sort of giving you, it's giving reference to this Egyptian mythology. And this card is just a beautiful, gentle reminder that we must weigh our own hearts daily and make amends daily, so that in the end, in the final judgment, the judgment goes in our favor. And you don't know when that judgment is going to occur. You don't know when your number is up. And so you always have to be weighing your heart against that feather. And so my question to you now is, weigh your heart right now. What is weighing on your heart right now? I love this card. It has such a simple yet poignant and straightforward message. Weigh your hearts daily. What is weighing on your heart? And make amends every day, so that you can live every day with a heart that is lighter than a feather. The next one over to the right of that is from the Smoke, Ash, and Embers Tarot, and it features a dragon as the figure of justice, wearing a crown or a headdress, which symbolizes importance. And on the card, it's hard to see maybe, but she has some stone scales in the background. So she's got the scales. She also has a sword, as you can see, in front of her. So those two very important symbols are present. But in addition to that, there are two frogs. So this is an interesting one because most of the time, Justice is figured by herself. But here we have Justice with two frogs, two figures who have come to her to enact justice, who have come looking for a verdict. So these two frogs have come to her to seek justice. And this idea, you can see these cute little frogs, sitting there on a rock, like in the little river, in the little pond, looking up to the figure, looking up to the dragon. They're looking up to the dragon, patiently awaiting their verdict. They are submitting themselves to this dragon for justice. And the dragon, I love this dragon because the dragon conveys a sense of trustworthiness. She's got one hand sort of pulled back behind those scales, indicating that she's impartial. She's going to judge this with impartiality. But her other hand is sort of forward in front of the frogs. And that sort of body language to me indicates that she's really interested. She's interested in the frog's case. She cares about them and wants the best for them. So her body posture here, I love this. I'm reading a lot into this illustration. Clearly, I love this illustration. So I love the body posture of this dragon. So it conveys a sense of impartiality, but also a sense of compassion. And all in all, with her and the frogs looking up to her, it conveys a sense of trustworthiness. And you get the sense that she will do what is right. She's going to do what is right for those frogs. And this whole picture altogether symbolizes going to a higher power and giving our problems. It symbolizes you and me giving our problems to a higher power. So we're not alone in this justice journey. So if there is something weighing on your heart, if there is something that you feel like you have to make amends for, you don't know how to seek justice, you don't know what to do, bring your problems to a higher power. Bring those problems to God or to a saint or a guru or your savior, or bring your problems to whatever higher power you trust. Bring your even to a person that symbolizes a higher power, like a priest or a rabbi or a teacher of some kind, a spiritual guide. Bring your problems to somebody who can help you find purification, atonement, someone who can help you find that balance. What I love most about this card is how gently the card conveys justice in a very approachable manner. So it's easy. It's easy for these frogs to approach this justice dragon, and just as easy for you and me to approach our higher power, to seek atonement and purification. Love it. So moving down to the second row, we have a justice figure that has some of the symbols we've already seen before. So far in every card, there's been a sword, including the first justice figure. That fierce gal has got the sword over her shoulder. Love that. But in the second row, this justice figure has the sword. She has the scales, and she's sort of high up on a pedestal. So she's got a lot of things going on for her that we're already familiar with. But she's clothed in all white, and she has white doves all around her, symbolizing purity and integrity. So she symbolizes in her white, all of this white energy, this really pure, heavenly justice, this divine, pure motivation, this integrity, that she will not be sullied by anything. She cannot be tainted by anything. She is so pure, and she's up on this pillar. She's high up on a pedestal, which indicates a really elevated status of importance, that she's really up there. However, this card has something else that I've never seen before, and I absolutely am all for it. This justice figure is casting a shadow on the rocks behind her. And the shadow is an armed warrior. You can see that there is a shadow, and the shadow is a warrior in armor holding a spear on a horse, ready to ride into a battle. And so this indicates that there is a warrior energy to justice. And to me, it indicates that justice is something that must be fought for, that it's not easy to get. It's not easy to get for yourself, but certainly it's, if you're seeking justice, if you've been wronged, it's not easy to get that justice. But more importantly, it symbolizes that doing what is right takes effort, that doing what is right is scary. It's a scary thing to do. You're riding into these situations that will hurt you or make you feel bad or make you feel vulnerable. And it's really hard to do. And so you have to be like a warrior every time that you feel that you need to do the right thing, that you need to even out those scales, that you need purification for your soul. Doing that right thing takes effort. And behind that shadow is like dark clouds, which sort of adds to this whole story that doing the right thing means riding out into the darkness, riding out into these scary energies, these dark energies that are looming about, ready to dampen your best intentions. It's very easy to get scared and to not do the right thing. And so you've got to put on your warrior energy and just go out there and make things right for yourself and for your soul. You have to do what is right for yourself and for everyone else within the sphere of your influence. You doing the right thing is hard. I absolutely love the little addition, and it's kind of subtle. It's in the background of this shadow, this warrior shadow in the background. Absolutely love it. Oh my gosh, there's so much to say about all these cards. I absolutely love it. So if you're not getting the sense of justice, oh my gosh, just wait. These last two are great. The next one, to the right of that one, in the middle of the bottom row, is from the, let's see, that is from the Mindscapes Tarot. And first, what drew me to this card, first off, was the beautiful, uplifting pastel colors. But once you see beyond these colors, you see something much more poignant. So the figure of justice is standing in the card with many wings on her back, and she's holding the sword. Once again, we have the sword, and the sword is not being held in the normal way. She's holding the sword by the blade, and so she's holding the sword in a way that indicates that she doesn't want to cut you down, which reminds me of this like song I heard Johnny Cash sing it. It's God's Gonna Cut You Down. If you've never heard that song, go listen to Johnny Cash. His version of that song is really great. So it's the point of the song is God's going to cut you down. So you can't escape justice. Justice will come for you, and God's going to cut you down. You may feel like you've gotten away with something. You haven't. God's going to cut you down in the end. So you better pay for your mistakes. You better pay for your problems now, sooner rather than later. And this angel symbolizes the angel of justice, the angel that is guarding the throne of God. And so this angel to me symbolizes the cherubim angel. The cherubim angels, unlike what you see in like Valentine's Day cards and stuff, the little cherub, the fat little innocent baby with the rosy cheeks just swimming around the air, as swimming around the heavens. No, cherubim are described as formidable creatures. With like, in the book of Ezekiel, they're described as having like four wings, 4 heads. They're crazy, formidable, scary creatures. And every time an angel is like, a lot of times when the angels are seen in the Bible, it says the angel's first words are very often, "Do not be afraid," because they're fearsome creatures. And so the idea of the many wings on this angel figure to me symbolizes the cherubim angels, which are formidable, fearsome, brave angels. This angel is going to make things right, but her face and her posture are sort of indicating a lot of compassion, like an overwhelming amount of compassion. Her face is compassionate. And the way she's holding her sword indicates that she doesn't want to cut you down. She wants you to behave well so that she doesn't have to, use that sword. The fact that she's holding the blade, it tells me that it's hurting her to see all of the injustice happen in the world, that it hurts her. It hurts her just as much as it hurts you. And so, oh my gosh, so much feeling, so much from this card. What I love most about this card is that divine justice is pictured as a very powerful angelic figure that is very fearsome, but also very, very loving too. So love that card. And the last one, to the right of that one, is not a card at all. It's a multimedia art piece. So this, every time I look at tarot cards for this series, I always come across a lot of art pieces or cards or pieces of art that aren't part of a deck, but just something that somebody made and put it out there online. Now this one is a multimedia piece of art, and the main point of it is that the justice figure has blinders. So to the sides of her eyes, you can see these little circles, and they come up and they cover her eyes, and so you can have the justice figure with her eyes covered or with the eyes uncovered. And as you can clearly see, I have opted to show you the figure with her eyes uncovered. So when her eyes are uncovered, it symbolizes the fact that Justice is seeing both sides of the situation, and she sees all the little details, and she's seeing all that is hidden. When her eyes are covered, it symbolizes the impartiality of Justice. This idea of Justice is blind, is that she sees the law, she sees what is right, and she's impartial to everything else. And at the chest, like at the bottom of this little art piece, there is a cage, like there's this sort of piece of metal, there's this little tiny cage, and inside this cage is a piece of manuscript from something I've never heard of. It's called Of Judicature by Francis Bacon. Never heard of it, but apparently this this piece of writing outlines the responsibilities of the judge. And so she has this this manuscript outlining the responsibilities of the judge right at her heart. It's so important to her to act with integrity, to do what is right, that she's holding this manuscript right in a cage by her heart. She keeps it protected. It's so important to her. But what I love most about this piece of art and why I included it is because when the eyes are uncovered, oh my gosh, this figure, can you see how terrifying it is? It's just, she's utterly terrifying. Oh my gosh. I just get the sense that this figure is seeing every little detail of your life. She sees every word you've ever said. She sees every thought you've ever thunk about everybody. She sees every bad intention. She sees, her gaze seems to be all-knowing and all-seeing, and that is scary. That is intimidating. And so this figure, this all-seeing figure, is so intimidating that her gaze sort of terrifies you into into behaving well. That her all-seeing gaze is like powerful motivation to behave with integrity every minute of your life, because I can't help but think that this justice figure, which represents an aspect of the soul, the divine soul, which is God, this divine figure is seeing everything. Oh my gosh, absolutely love it. So together, all these cards have so much to say. They have so much they convey pretty much every aspect of justice from these 6 cards, and also 7 if you include the Rider-Waite-Smith card that we looked at first. You get a really clear sense of justice. But now this brings us to the final little bit. And now we look at its relevance, how justice can be relevant to your real life. How do you incorporate justice energy into your everyday life? And I have 3 ways. And the first way is on an everyday basis. The idea of karma should make you pause before you react to things. Now, I said react because it's very clear, it goes without saying, that we should act in a way that is responsible and in a way that doesn't cause harm. So basically, you should act in a way that, is consistent with your idea of justice. That's obvious. But what is less obvious, I think, is how you react to things. So as you go through your day, you're going to encounter situations, people saying things that, out of anger, maybe they're frustrated, or maybe they're confused, or you'll see something on the news or on TikTok or on Instagram, or your family's going to say something, or your friends are going to say something, or somebody's going to text you something and you can't really read the tone correctly and it's going to sound like they're being mean. You're going to encounter multiple situations throughout your day in which you have to react to something that may not have been your fault, but it feels like an attack, or it feels uncomfortable. So on an everyday basis, give yourself a chance to think about what the right thing to say or do is before you react. Give yourself a chance to pause and consider before you react to things. So ask yourself, how can I react in a way that doesn't cause more problems? How can I react in a way that doesn't exacerbate the situation? Because even if you react to something that's not your fault, in a way that's like a little more defensive than you need to be, that reaction is going to cause its own karma. It's going to cause that person you're talking to get all defensive in and of themselves, and maybe the situation will get blown a little bit too big out of proportion, and maybe that person's going to bring their anger back home to their family, and it's going to cause this, it's just going to cause the ripples of karma to just bounce around the universe in a crazy kind of way, and we don't want that. We all don't want that. And so what we do want is, we want the world to be as peaceful as possible. And so what you want to do is stop and pause before you react to things and ask yourself, how can I react in a way that will bring about more justice, that will bring about mercy and justice and compassion? And how can I contribute to a more peaceful situation? So that's the first way. The second way that you can incorporate justice energy into your life is on a broader scale. Justice asks you to review those areas of your life where you might need to take more responsibility. What relationships or situations are weighing on your heart? Ask yourself, where could I step up and behave with more integrity in my life? Because everybody has areas where you could behave with more integrity, behave with more justice, behave with more responsibility. And maybe it's an area of your life where you're absolutely fine, but something feels a little off. And so like maybe you didn't intend to, but things were unclear and things were a little muddy between you and someone else. Or maybe there's a situation, a relationship in your life where someone's giving to you a lot more than you're giving back. Or maybe there's just in general a situation at work or at home or whatever where you just need to, you need to balance things out a little bit more. So ask yourself, just to step back and take a look at your life and just review all the areas of your life. Where can you act with more integrity? Where can you act with more responsibility, with more justice? And the third way that you can incorporate justice energy into your everyday life is by acknowledging that divine justice is a law of the universe. Like, this isn't something that you will, visit once in a while, when you remember it. No, justice, divine justice, the balancing of the cosmic scales is something that happens all the time. Nothing is hidden from the eyes of God. Nothing. Everything will have to be accounted for eventually. There is no sweeping anything under the rug. So this third way that you can acknowledge that justice energy is at work in your life is by acknowledging that the eyes of God, the eyes of justice are upon you all the time. Just like that sixth justice card, the eyes, those penetrating eyes are looking at your every move. God is aware of your every thought, your every move, your every action, your every reaction. And so if you keep this in mind and just imagine like a spotlight, a divine spotlight on your life, every minute of your life, even if you're at home alone and you're not hurting anybody, it's like, divine justice is watching you. Like, divine justice is watching you. It should make you try to move closer to a higher goal. It should move your soul a little bit to have that thought, to have that realization that divine justice is at work at all times. So that is the 3 ways that you can incorporate justice energy into your life, and that is the end, my friends. This is the end of the Justice card. I know this went a little longer than I probably had intended to let it go, but let me tell you, this card is so important. It is life-changing to investigate this card. It is life-changing to understand what justice means. I encourage you to go look at Justice Tarot card on Pinterest or on, image search, and look at those different cards and see what resonates with you and sort of bring that energy into your life. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this made you think. And I end every video with a prayer. And so my prayer for you, my prayer for me, my prayer for all of us is that we all have enough compassion, love, and mercy in our hearts to behave with integrity and justice in every action, thought, and word, in every minute of our lives. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.